pangarap, san man umabot tayo.
Pati ko rin ang mga tagapagpakinig ng programang Buhay OFW ngayon sa DWDD 1134 Armed Forces Radio. Mabuhay kayo, mga OFW, mga bayani ng
Welcome to Bataan Nuclear Plant. Ano, ayos pa rin yan, no? Sana talaga mag-function na to. Oo, super. Super, ganda. Hindi ng isa. Pagkakagawa yan.
Dali na tayo yung TV na ano tayo.
Asan? Ay, nasa private. Yan. Bataan Nuclear Plant. Soon. Okay, welcome to Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. Yan, di tayo.
Ano nyo pa yung exclusive? Rail, ano na?
Yan po.
Matintak kayo na lang sana humawak ng camera. Camera man.
Sisya. Magandang buhay po sa ating lahat. Ngayon po ay nandito tayo sa Bataan kung saan po ay mayroong isang napakagandang balita para sa inyo ang ating pong guest ngayon. Hello po, sir. Pakilala niyo po ang inyong sarili.
Ako po si Marco Wangco, dating kongresista sa Pangasinan ng tatlong termino mula 2001 hanggang 2010. Tapos pribadong tao po ako hanggang 2022, and then tumakbo ulit ako sa pagka-congressman sa ibang distrito at nanalo po ako. Ako ngayon ay hinalal bilang chairman ng kauna-unahang Committee on Nuclear Energy na itinatag ng ating Speaker Martin Romualdez. Ako ang first chairman.
Ayun. Okay. Bali po, sir, konting information po tungkol po sa mga nagiging kaganapan dito ngayon.
Tungkol sa?
Mga nagiging kaganapan po dito.
Okay, so nandito tayo ngayon sa Philippine Nuclear Power Plant 1. Hindi po tama na Bataan Nuclear Power Plant ito. Ang totoong pangalan po niya ay Philippine Nuclear Power Plant Unit Number 1. Kasi po pag-aari po ito ng Republika ng Pilipinas, hindi po ito pag-aari ng Pangasinan. At ito po ay nagkaroon po ng bayarin. Nabayaran po natin ito ng buo noong August 2007. Kasama po ang $699 million na interest na naging out of pocket po. Bakit out of pocket? Dahil hindi po natin pinayagan tumakbo ito. So, kaya out of pocket po ang bayad natin. Hindi niya kinita yung binayad natin. Apat po itong plantang ito. na 3 kambal nito, isa na sa Brazil, isa na sa Slovenia, at isa na sa Korea, yung Cory 2 nuclear plant. Nakasabay lang ito. Yung pong lahat na yon ay award winners sa kanilang mga bansa for reliability and uptime. So nasasayangan po ako na hindi natin po ginamit ito dahil ngayon may crisis po tayo sa supply ng kuryente. Masyado na pong mahal ang kuryente natin. Sa presyo po ng kuryente ngayon, wala po tayong mahihikayat na mga investor, namumuhunan, na magtayo ng kanilang mga industriya, hanap buhay, negosyo dito sa Pilipinas para mailikha po natin ang milyong-milyong trabaho na permanente, na maganda, na mataas ang sweldo, na kinakailangan po natin para maiangat ang kabuhayan sa Pilipinas matapos ang kahirapan. And so, hindi ko po maintindihan kung bakit naging ganon. 37 years na, sinubukan na nila ang lahat ng ibang paraan na bumaba ang presyo ng kuryente, nag-solar, nag-wind, nag-geothermal, biomass, etc. Pumalpak po sila sa lahat. Wala pong nakapagpababa ng presyo. Ito na lang po ang hindi nasusubukan. Sa ibang bansa, ito ay nakakababa ng presyo dahil likas po na mura dahil sa energy density ng uranium, which is millions of times higher than the energy density of coal or gas or oil. So, yun po ang diferensya. Ang 1 million BTU ng nuclear fuel assembly ay $46 po. Ang 1 million BTU ng LNG po, pag in-import natin, ay 27 times more expensive. 2,700% more expensive. Kaya ang isang planta na kasing laki nito, kung coal ito o gas, $500 million more or less ang gagastusin natin sa pag-angkat ng carbon lalo sa labas. Pag nuclear po, 20 million lang. So, ang laki po ng diferensya. Likas na mura.
Yes. Yan po, kanina po ay paliwanag nyo nga po yung kahalagahan po na pag ito ay nabuksan na. Ngayon po, tayo po ay napapakinggan po sa 4 na sulok ng mundo, lalo na po ang ating mga OFWs, ang kanilang pamilya at syempre po ang ating mga sundalo. Ano po ang inyong mensahe sa kanila para makumbinsin nyo yung kung marami na rin po na gusto pong mabuksan ito, pero marami pa rin din po na parang nagdadalawang isip.
Ayon po sa survey ng DOE natin noong panahon ni Presidente Duterte, 79% po ng Pilipino ay may gusto na tumakbo po ang nuclear. Ang question po is not in my backyard. Ngunit doon po sa akin, sa bayan ng Labrador, nakumbinsi ko po ang taga-Labrador na yung NIMBY, palitan nila yung ibig sabihin, hindi yung not in my backyard, kung hindi nuclear in my backyard. In other words, gusto na nila. Bakit? Kasi nare-realize nila na napakaraming trabaho ang darating. And ang sabi ko sa kanila, dahil makontrobersiya ito, humingi kayo ng kapalit. Ang hingiin nyo, yung libreng kuryente, ayon sa konsumo nyo noong 2021, i-times 2 nyo, for every 1,000 megawatts na papayagan yung dumating dito. So, imagine mo kung times 4 yon. So, 8 times yung 2021 consumption magiging libre. Magiging pinakamurang kuryente sa buong Pilipinas po ang Labrador. So, naniniwala sila darating po ang progreso pagka ganun po nangyari. And aangat po talaga ang kabuhayan niya. Pagpasok pa lang po sa umpisa ng construction, dahil 65% po ng gastusin sa nuclear ay local civil works, trabaho kaagad. No, meron talagang construction na trabaho kaagad.
Yes. Okay, ingat mo na lang po kayo ng mensahe po.
Yes.
Para po sa ating followers and viewers. Ang inyo pong mensahe.
Mga kaibigan, ang pinakamalaking bagay para maging kaakit-akit, yung ba ang tamang salita, attractive ang ating bansa sa mga foreign investor ay yung murang kuryente. And wala na pong magiging mas mura pa sa nuclear dahil tayo po ay walang sariling carbon. Wala tayong coal, paubos na ang ating gas sa Malampaya, kaya magiging imported po lahat yan. So, ang paraan po para magkaroon ng yaman ang Pilipinas ay nasa kamay po natin. Ito pong Philippine Nuclear Power Plant na 37 years na hindi tumakbo. Kung sana tumakbo nung araw, tingin ko sumabay tayo sa Koreano. Koreano po mayaman. Biro mo kalahati lang ang kanilang populasyon compared sa atin, times 6 ang kanilang power generating capacity. So, ang may kasalanan po tayo rin kasi hindi natin pinaandar to at hindi natin pinadami po ito. Mag-nuclear na tayo, patakbuhin po na po natin ang Philippine Nuclear Power Plant dito po sa Bataan.
Yes. Okay, mabuhay po kayo at maraming salamat po. Ito po si Terry Alpa para po sa programang Buhay OFW Bantay at Kasangga para po sa DWWD Armed Forces Radio, ang boses ng Kawal.
Pwede bang magdagdag?
Yeah po.
Yeah, okay. So, alam nyo, yung dami ng carbon na kailangan i-import natin, barko-barko po yan. So, pagka nuclear po, isang jeepney lang, isang beses sa bawat isang kalahating taon, may fuel na po tayo. Yung trabaho ng armed forces para i-depensa yung barkong parating, lalo na kung magkagulo dyan sa West Philippine Sea, national security din po ang ating pinag-uusapan. Mas madali ang trabaho ng armed forces na masigurado nila na magkaroon tayo ng energy security kung nuclear po tayo.
Ayan. Nadali nyo, sir. Thank you so much po, sir. At sana po magtagumpay po yung ating pong mini-nuclear.
Salamat po.
Thank you so much po.
Salamat.
Sir. Dito po si Terry Alpa para sa programang Buhay OFW ngayon, Bantay at Kasangga na mapapanood po sa DWWD Armed Forces Radio, ang boses ng Kawal Pilipino. Ngayon po ay narito pa rin po tayo sa Bataan, dito po sa BNNP. At ma'am, pakilala mo na po ang inyong sarili.
Hi po, ako po si Gail Certeza. Ako po ay lead convener ng Alpas Pinas. At ang Alpas Pinas po ay isang organization na ang ating pong objective ay para mag-educate at mag-advocate po na ang ating bansa po ay magkaroon na ng nuclear energy.
Yes, ma'am. Ang mensahe nyo na lang po para sa ating mga OFW, sila po yung mga modernong bayani at syempre po ang last po yung ating tunay na bayani, ang mga sundalo. Go ahead po.
Nako, maraming salamat po. Maraming salamat po sa inyong sakripisyo. Maraming salamat sa inyong trabaho. Dahil po sa inyo, ang ating bansa po ay umaayos.
Yes.
Ang aming pong goal as Alpas Pinas is that kapag po naibaba ang presyo ng kuryente, dahil po ang nuclear po ay magpapababa ng presyo ng kuryente, mas marami na po ang magiging negosyo sa Pilipinas. Baka sakali pong makauwi na kayo.
Yes.
At makasama nyo ang inyong mga pamilya. Kasi sa ngayon po, dahil sa mahal ng kuryente natin, ang konti lang po ng pumapasok na negosyo. At ang mga negosyo na nandito po, hindi po masyadong lumalaki kasi ang mahal ng kuryente. Kapag ang kuryente po naging mura, malaki pong tsansa na aayos ang bansa natin at makakauwi na po kayo sa inyong mga pamilya. At sa mga sundalo po natin, maraming salamat po sa inyong pagsakripisyo sa pagprotekta sa ating bansa. Ang maitutulong po sana namin ay kapag naayos ang ating elektrisidad at ang presyo ng electricity, ay ang buhay po ninyo at ang buhay din po namin, nating lahat ay magiging maayos. So yan po ang aming objective at yan din po ang aming pinupush na magkaroon na po ng nuclear sa Pilipinas, especially po ang Philippine Nuclear Power Plant. Buksan na po natin, matagal na po tayo nag-aantay ng malinis reliable, at murang kuryente. Maraming salamat.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am, and congratulations po. Mabuhay po kayo.
Thank you.
Attorney Helen Cook works is G&E Advisory from Sydney, Australia, and she has been hired by the House to help the Committee on Nuclear Energy draft bills regarding nuclear law. So we are very fortunate to have a person who has good international experience. She worked in the United States, she worked in Japan, she was involved internationally on several nuclear initiatives. So maganda na meron po tayong may experience gumawa ng batas that is compliant with the IAEA language. So I'm very good. Can we all give her a
Yes.
Also with us, by the way, Helen arrived last night. She's spending a week here, but 4 days of that week, she's going to be helping me meet with nuclear legislators, the PNRI, the DOE, the DOST, maybe even the DNR. And after that, she's going to take a one-day break, going to our premier tourist areas in the beach, and then back to Australia. So I'm very thankful that she could take the time out to see the plant and to know more what's going on here in detail. I'm also invited to Australia to speak. End of May, I think, is the schedule. So I'm invited to speak in several Australian cities on the pro-nuclear side. Also with us today is Mads Bunch Larsen. Up your hand, please. And his brother, Morden. I met them during my last trip to COP28 in Dubai. So we saw them in Dubai, and they are pro-nuclear from Denmark. Right? Denmark? That's correct, right? Denmark. So they're fighting for nuclear in Scandinavia and in Europe for the information of the media. The Finnish government, the Finnish Greenpeace is the only Greenpeace in the world that is now pro-nuclear. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes. So including the Finnish Green Party has now become pro-nuclear. So there is a sea change of attitude in the world. So the world is becoming aware of the importance of nuclear power to combat climate change and global warming. In fact, one of the highlights of COP28 was the declaration by 6 major countries. There's France, Sweden, UAE, USA, Korea, and one more.
Japan.
No, not Japan. Anyway, one more. And Japan was one of the 25 other countries which supported the declaration. What was the declaration? There are 3 declarations. First declaration is that net zero by 2050 is impossible without nuclear. That's number 1. Number 2, that they will push to triple world nuclear by 2050. Triple. So there are 450 running plants today, no? So times 3 that, So we're talking of another 900, so there will be 1,350 running nuclear plants by 2050, at least. They will make available, third declaration, they will make available $9.2 trillion in low-interest financing for nuclear new build. So there's a total, these people, these countries used to hide their pro-nuclear sentiments. But now, they've come out of the closet, so to speak, because they realize that without nuclear, they will fail in decarbonizing the world, and we will suffer more through global warming and climate change. So, big change in COP28. It was a different COP28 to the previous COPs that happened. Nuclear is out of the closet. So, I would like the media, the press here today, to really change the paradigm, to change the narrative. The narrative has always been about safety. I think that it's an gas-gas na po ang storya na safety. We know nuclear is safe. In fact, it saves lives. Nuclear has already saved more than 2 million lives and growing and becoming more every year. So that is not the story. The story is the world cannot do without nuclear, especially global warming and climate change cannot do without nuclear. So we need to change the paradigm, ladies and gentlemen. No? Our people look to us for information. If we keep scaring them, then they will never do what's right, which is for us to embark on a massive nuclear new build. It is my aspiration and the aspiration of my committee and many other congressmen that we build 16,000 megawatts by 2045. The DOE's aspiration is 2,500. If we only have that kind of aspiration, no vendor will take us seriously. No vendor will come here, no investor will come here and risk their money, their time, their effort if we are not convinced that this is the way to go. So I will explain later what's my basis for 16,000 megawatts by 2045, but it can even be up to 32,000 megawatts by 2045. And I will explain the basis for that later. So maybe we can start. You wanna sit, guys? You wanna sit down or?
What time do we start from, Mike?
We will start presentation. I don't have a prepared presentation. I'm gonna wing it, okay? But I would rather that I talk less and you ask more, because you know.
We can do what you usually do, the 101. Do you want us to do that?
No, it's okay. I'll talk. We will. You ask questions. When we finish asking questions, we'll go tour the plant. Then when we come back here, if you have more questions, you ask again.
Okay.
No, there's no time limit on the questions. Even after this tour, you wanna ask me, I'll give you my contact info. You can message me. I will try my best to answer all your questions. So let's start with saying that let's talk about PNPP first, because it's the plant that's in front of us. Later on, when you go out the door, if you will keep quiet, you listen to what's going on around you, what you will hear out there is the aircon compressor of the building. If the plant is running, it's the same thing. This plant has no noise. This plant has no dust. This plant has no emissions. It has no pollution because we are not burning anything. We are using the fission reaction to generate heat. So when you burn something, you have a fuel, then you combine it with the air with the oxygen in the air, you combine it, and you have a byproduct. That's CO2 and other bad stuff, which we dump into the air, which we breathe, and which pollutes the environment, and which is the cause of global warming. In a fission plant, a nuclear plant, you have the fuel, you put a moderator, water, it causes a fission reaction, nothing combines with the fuel. So at the end of the day, what happens is heavy elements, uranium-235, breaks down and releases energy. But nothing is added to that. So the weight going in of the fuel is the weight going out a few years later. And that's one of the magic of nuclear energy, is the energy density. So we're looking at millions of times more energy dense, and the most potent fossil fuel source, which is gasoline or coal. You have here sugar, you have fat, you have coal. Fat is like diesel, gasoline, coal. Uranium is millions of times more energy dense. What does it mean? Just a tiny amount, and you generate so much electricity. What are the implications of this? For a plant this size, one jeepney every year and a half, 18 months, is the equivalent of 50 Panamax size ships of 50,000 tons each. So one jeepney, one time, is equivalent to everything here. So all the inventory of fuel is inside my reactor. But in the case of a coal plant, the same size coal plant, I'm counting on the delivery of 3 or 4 ships a month. If that is interrupted, I have a brownout, an outage. So if there's problems in the West Philippine Sea, for example, and the ship can arrive, we have outage. So where's the energy security? So if there's no energy security, isn't our national security compromised? So we're talking of energy security and national security issues as well. Big advantage for nuclear people. So we're talking of fuel assemblies. When you put it in, it looks like this. When it comes out 4.5 years later, it still looks like this. This becomes your high-level nuclear waste. It's not dirty water, it's not dust, it's not whatever floating around in the air that we breathe. It's completely contained in the assembly. So this is the nuclear waste we are talking about. 26 pieces per year. That's it. Tiny. So we are also talking of disposing 26 pieces per year. And then we've gotten rid of the nuclear waste. How are we going to get rid of the nuclear waste? We have a waste disposition trust fund. Helen knows about this. 6 centavos per kilowatt hour. Bataan will generate 5 billion kilowatt hours a year. At 6 centavos per kilowatt hour, that's 300 million pesos. First, I'm not finished. 300 million pesos a year to get rid of 26 pieces of this. So there's a lot of money. When the anti-nuclear people say we are burdening future generations with the cost of disposal of this waste, that's not true. That's a lie. Because we are the only industry that has set aside the funds to handle the waste. Solar doesn't do it, wind doesn't do it, definitely the fossil fuel industry doesn't do it, they just throw it all into the atmosphere for us to breathe. When these solar panels get old, when the wind turbines get old, who's going to dispose of it? They have no fund. They have no plan. Nuclear is planned and funded. So how do we get rid of that? We drill a hole 2 kilometers deep and then 2 kilometers horizontal, and we put the elements, the fuel assemblies in the red part. Then we backfill it with mud, bentonite, and concrete, and it's gone forever. It's attention and cost-free for eternity. I will ask you, so we've solved the problem. My next question to you is, do we want to do that? Why would we be so stupid to do that when the stuff we're intending to put here still has over 95% energy? We can reuse it 20 times. So it is a huge national wealth. It is not really waste. It is only waste if we waste it. It will be used in my grandson's generation 4 reactors. After which, whatever is left over is safe after only 300 years. After only 100 years, and is less radioactive than garden soil after only 300 years. So once you pass the waste through fast reactors, the problem disappears completely. But still, as insurance, we have the waste handling trust fund. We have all that money to do whatever we want to do. If we want to be stupid and bury it, and it's gone forever, we can do that. Don't listen to them when they say there's no solution. All the solutions exist for the waste. What else should we talk about? Safety. Let's talk about safety. So, this is from the WHO, and there are other sources of information that are just as valid. Nuclear has a revised number. Why is the number revised? Because the only casualties for nuclear happened at Chernobyl, where less than 50 were killed. Most of them, 34 of them, first responders, firemen. So less than 20 were bystander victims. Most of them were firemen. So, what's the most deadly? Coal. How much coal do we have in the province of Bataan? 3,500 megawatts. Right? So, what's the implication of this? The implication of this is that because we turned our back on nuclear in 1986, we became 60% now imported coal. So we've caused the death or the shortening of lifespan of a few thousand Filipinos or Bataeños because we turned our back on nuclear. None of you are complaining about this. Why? Why are you not complaining about this? This is the story. Right? Not the fairy tale accident that will never happen, that is so remote from happening. This is the certainty. We're talking here about the certainty of sickness, of death, because we are using a dirtier fuel source. India, wake up, please, on this. So what else do you want to talk about?
Price.
Huh?
Price.
Price.
Murang kuryente.
Okay, so I'll leave you with the number. You can check it out. It changes from time to time. 1 million BTU of nuclear fuel assembly.